Salah's off to conquer La Liga, and his new club might just catch you off guard. Arsenal are lining up a massive double swoop. Are United actually moving for Tchouaméni? And could Emi Martínez be on his way to Juve? The Brazilian national team have crashed out of the World Cup in absolutely spectacular fashion, getting slapped about by Norway. You've really got to go out of your way to manage that. And off the back of that historic disaster, a few of their star men have completely lost the plot. David Ornstein is reporting some absolute fire. Bruno Guimarães has officially slapped in a request to the Newcastle hierarchy, demanding a swift escape route to Arsenal. The emotional Brazilian genius is apparently in the depths of despair following his country's absolute fiasco. And, by the looks of it, a switch has flipped in his head. The brutal reality has dawned on him. The clock is ticking. He needs a club that's actually scrapping for the Premier League title right here, right now, and consistently making noise in the Champions League. Not one treading water through endless transitional phases. The Londoners have been very openly drooling over this midfielder for ages. They've already got the Piero Hincapié transfer over the line, but the middle of the park is crying out for an elite big money upgrade. Last month, the Magpies essentially told the Gunners' agents where to stick it. But now, Arsenal have a massive ace up their sleeve. The player's own very public desire to jump ship. Only, that's exactly where the magic stops and the brutal London mathematics begin. Arsenal are prepping a second official bid. Brace yourselves. Somewhere in the region of 60 million quid. Hang on a minute. You're gonna rock up to Newcastle's obscenely wealthy owners, who value their absolute main man at exactly 100 million, the exact same fee they flogged Tonali for, and offer that sort of pocket change. Previously, they'd tabled a frankly laughable 55 million. The gulf in valuation is so catastrophic that building a bridge across it looks virtually impossible. Newcastle, of course, are finding it bloody difficult to keep hold of their prized assets. Players come and go. That's just the ruthless nature of modern football. But Bruno is locked down on a cast-iron contract until 2028, with an option for another year. The Geordies have got this situation in a death grip. The only bloke who can actually force this move through is Guimarães himself. But the Brazilian is dead against tarnishing his legacy up in the northeast. So you can forget about public strikes or kicking doors off their hinges. Like Alexander Isak pulled back in the day, he'll leave with grace, but only if the clubs shake hands and agree on a fee. Pinching pennies in London isn't going to get this done. Diego Simeone has decided to completely blow up the market. Forget all about modest, tactical tweaks and sniffing around for bargain bin wonderkids. Atletico Madrid are gearing up to drop what might just be the biggest bombshell of the summer. Antoine Griezmann has packed his bags. The absolute talisman of the last few years has left the building, and an era has come to an end. Cholo's gang are in desperate, urgent need of a brand new superstar. A bloke who can just chuck the entire club on his back. The goals, the media circus, and the crushing responsibility on those freezing do-or-die European nights. And do you know who they've got in their crosshairs? Mohamed Salah. The Egyptian king is officially out of contract. 9 monumental seasons at Anfield are in the rearview mirror, and now he is the most sought-after freebie on the planet. He's 33 years old. Plenty will tell you he's ready for his pension. But let's be brutally honest here. The bloke is still at his absolute peak. That world-class sharpness hasn't gone anywhere. The attacking output, the legendary aura, the elite winner's mentality. It's just different gravy. Barely anyone in the game can even lace his boots right now. For Atletico, it's a colossal opportunity. Simeone sees this as the ultimate summer coup. He's probably lying in bed at night dreaming of the Egyptian picking up the ball out wide on the right, cutting inside onto that wand of a left foot, and carving open those endless low-block buses that La Liga is so bloody famous for. Speaking of parking the bus, I'm talking to you lot, the absolute partisans watching my videos while sitting in a deep defensive block and refusing to drop a like. Step out of the shadows, hit that thumbs up. Cholo Simeone would have you running cross-country for that level of passivity. In tight spaces, Atleti have been crying out for a player who can turn a game on its head in a couple of touches. Because Salah doesn't just stick the ball in the net, he drags defenders all over the gaff, shifts through the gears on the counter, and makes everyone around him look 10 times the player they actually are. Obviously, the word free in modern football is just a fairy tale for the gullible. There's no transfer fee, sure, but the sign-on bonus and the weekly wage packet are going to have the Madrid accountants reaching for their blood pressure meds. The scouts and the hierarchy are currently sweating buckets trying to piece this financial jigsaw together. And the competition isn't hanging about. Offers are flying in from Saudi Arabia with numbers so utterly astronomical, they'd make your eyes water. But this is where Salah's own ambition kicks in. The bloke is absolutely desperate to get a taste of Spain. He wants to keep his competitive edge, stay right on the European radar, and actually scrap for proper silverware. Money is money, but La Liga gives you that elite status. And Simeone has personally rolled his sleeves up to get this deal over the line before pre-season kicks off. Madrid are craving a king. The soap opera, officially titled Marcus Rashford and His Transfer Tantrums, is heading into yet another spin cycle. The loan stint over at Barcelona is done and dusted. The Catalan giants had a buy option for a frankly measly 26 million quid, but the deadline has comfortably been and gone. The Spanish side tried to haggle the price down and beg for softer terms, but over in Manchester, they simply stopped picking up the phone. And so now, the prodigal son is heading back to Old Trafford. The United brass have held emergency crisis talks and rolled out a massive decision. Sporting director Jason Wilcox and Michael Carrick have laid down the law. Nobody is going to leave Rashford rotting in the reserves. You can bin off the talk of a so-called exile group and him jogging laps on his own away from the team. After his holidays, Marcus is back in the fold, training with the senior squad, and will be 100% available for selection. Assuming, of course, somebody doesn't snap him up before the Premier League kicks off. Incredibly, the last time the 28-year-old forward actually stepped onto a pitch in a red shirt was all the way back in December 2024 in a spectacularly drab Europa League tie against Victoria Pleasant. The funniest bit about this whole mess? There's absolutely zero beef between Carrick and the player. It's strictly professional. But don't kid yourselves, both parties are just dreaming of washing their hands of each other as quickly as humanly possible. Man United are frantically trying to sort out a permanent sale, whilst Rashford himself is convinced that hitting the reset button as far away from Manchester as possible is his only chance to salvage his legacy. The Englishman is obsessed with getting back to Barcelona, and he couldn't care less that middlemen have already hawked his CV to half of Europe. Inquiries have been lodged by Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, PSG, Bayern, and even Atletico Madrid. But Rashford is magnetically drawn to Catalonia. Nowhere else will do. And what about Barca themselves? Well, they're playing their classic greatest hits. They are more than happy to take the star man on yet another loan deal. The very thought of it makes the United hierarchy physically twitch. They are demanding a permanent transfer and weighing up their options. If they can't hash out a compromise, Carrick is going to be forced to actually stick the forward in the starting 11. An absolute dead end. And right now, there's no way out. Juventus are back to their old tricks. The Italian giants have gone strolling into the market, heads held high, hunting for a foundational goalkeeper to sort them out for years to come. And, according to Fabrizio Romano, the Turin outfit haven't messed about. They've gone straight to the entourage of Emi Martínez, that eccentric, controversial, and utterly impenetrable Debu, who is currently ruling the roost in the Aston Villa penalty area. But here is the massive catch. As soon as the conversation turns to actual hard cash, the grand old lady starts nervously patting her pockets looking for loose change. The villains slapped a price tag on the table, and over in Turin, they nearly choked on it. The Birmingham club are in absolutely no rush. There is zero pressure on them to sell. The English side are simply not prepared to drop their asking price below the £9 to £13 million mark. And Juve's opening gambit was somehow even lower than that. Are you having a laugh? Rocking up to a Premier League club and asking them to hand over one of the best goalkeepers on the globe for the price of a championship benchwarmer. It sounds like some sort of twisted joke. Martínez himself, if the whispers are to be believed, has been picturing himself in that black and white strip for a while now. His agents are rubbing their hands together, and the Argentine has supposedly even started house hunting in Italy, desperately itching for a change of scenery, but he is absolutely not going to force a move. He's got it pretty cushy over in England. If Villa dig their heels in, he'll just shrug his shoulders, keep his undisputed #1 spot, and happily go and play Champions League football for Aston Villa. No strikes and no public temper tantrums. So, the touring club have decided to try and wear the sellers down. They've pushed the nitty-gritty negotiations back for dessert. Everything will be finalized once the World Cup wraps up. But if the stubborn English side refuse to budge a single penny, the Juve board have got a budget-friendly plan B tucked up their sleeves. That backup plan is Guglielmo Vicario from Tottenham. He's 29, reliable, and will cost them a fraction of the price. That would stop the Italians from blowing their entire defensive rebuild budget straight down the drain. Plus, the London club are perfectly happy to wrap Guglielmo up with a bow and ship him straight back to Serie A. The choice is pretty straightforward. Pay up for the Argentine or walk away with the consolation prize. Mikel Arteta is out on the prowl once again. The primary target is Morgan Rogers, the very same 23-year-old lad who has just delivered an absolutely mental season for Aston Villa. He has fully cemented himself as one of the most influential young forwards in the entire Premier League. And by the looks of things, the Londoners are dead certain this is pretty much a done deal. The insiders are all singing from the same hymn sheet. Arsenal are hell-bent on nicking the top-tier winger, and Rodgers' name is circled in thick red marker on their shortlist. An agreement with the player himself? Consider it in the bag. Up in the Arsenal boardroom, they are treating this as virtually dusted. The attitude is basically, we're a massive club. Who on earth is going to say no? But reality is waiting to hit them at the checkout. Aston Villa don't just not want to let their brightest talent go. They've slapped a price tag on him that would make a normal bloke's eyes start twitching immediately. The bidding for Morgan kicks off at 111 million quid. Yep, you heard that right. Well north of 100 million. The Birmingham outfit took one look at the realities of the modern market and decided their diamond is worth absolute astronomical money. And you know what? They are well within their rights. Rodgers is tied down to a massive long-term contract. His performances have chucked him straight into the England starting 11 under Thomas Tuchel's wing. Sell him? What for? After a blinding season under Unai Emery, Villa want to build their own empire, not act as a donor for a bunch of wealthy Londoners. To them, Rodgers is the absolute cornerstone of a long-term project. Not for sale. Full stop, unless you're bringing a sack of gold. Arsenal, naturally, are hoping to haggle that ridiculous fee down. We'll see how that auction goes. But Villa have got another hidden ace up their sleeve. They've rolled out the heavy artillery, friendship, optimism is growing inside the West Midlands club, and they've got Ezri Konsa to thank for it. The veteran defender, England teammate and close mate of Morgan, is basically working part-time as chief negotiator right now. The lad's got incredibly tight while away with the national team, and now Konsa is practically shadowing Rodgers everywhere he goes, convincing him to swat away this annoying Arsenal interest. Why do you need the Emirates? We've got Emery's ambitious project right here, limitless trust, and you're treated like a king. And that tactic is genuinely working. Arsenal are still circling the situation. Arteta is desperate to bolster his attacking line with this exact player, but Aston Villa are standing like a rock. They have zero interest in backing down. They are fully prepared to shake the absolute soul out of the buyer. The till is open. Get your millions ready. Manchester United just love putting on a show. The club is the traditional entertainer of any given transfer window. And right now, with the Ederson move just waiting for a nice graphic to make it official, the big wigs at Old Trafford are already digging up the dirt, hunting for new victims. Casemiro has packed his bags and flown off to see out his days at Inter Miami. The middle of the park is left with a massive, gaping hole. And who better to plug that gap? A Real Madrid star, obviously. Aurélien Tchouaméni. Sounds incredibly expensive and dead proper. Diario AS are screaming from the rooftops that the 26-year-old Frenchman has become a flat-out obsession for the United scouts. Over in Manchester, they are convinced he is the ideal fit for the midfield. The lad is just a machine. Incredible physicality, completely dominant in the air, reads the game defensively like an open book, and on top of that, he treats the football with such class, it's a joy to watch. And if the backline suddenly falls to pieces, he can comfortably slot in at centre-half. An absolute dream, not a footballer. But let's pull ourselves back down to earth. There are two gigantic hurdles here. First, the money. Real Madrid are willing to let the player walk, but only if someone plonks about 85 million quid on the table. Given Madrid's current standards, where any half-decent baller costs near enough 100, that figure actually looks pretty reasonable. Do you know what looks even more reasonable? Hitting the subscribe button. Unlike Tchouaméni, it is completely free. 80% of you are watching me without a ticket, so get your transfer to this channel sorted and ring the bell. Now, United are ready to grit their teeth and scrape that transfer fee together. But the Frenchman's wages? That's a genuine disaster. Tchouaméni's pay packet is so brutally bloated that the Red Devils' wage bill would simply burst at the seams. His camp have already been handed a polite little hint. If you fancy Old Trafford, rein in your demands. Do you honestly believe Aurélien is going to swap Madrid for rainy Manchester and agree to a pay cut? Sounds like a terrible joke. Although there's still plenty of time before the window slams shut, and United could always flog half their bench to try and cover his salary. The second problem, Real Madrid themselves. The Spaniards haven't given any green light yet. No little nods saying, "All right, pull up a chair, let's haggle." Dead silence. And Tchouaméni himself, to put it mildly, isn't exactly dying to pack his bags. He wants to stay at the Santiago Bernabéu. But we all know how the kitchen operates in Madrid. If the club needs to free up a spot for a new midfielder, Aurélien will be shown the door with a polite smile. And that is when Manchester, flashing their shiny Champions League status, will swoop in and offer him regular minutes. A dream transfer hanging by a thread. Andre Lunin is absolutely sick and tired of sitting in his golden Madrid cage. 8 seasons. Just wrap your head around that. For that many years, he has meekly and obediently warmed the bench at the mighty Real Madrid, trapped in the gigantic, inescapable shadow of Thibaut Courtois. And now, the 27-year-old Ukrainian goalkeeper's patience has completely snapped. He is fully ready to step into the limelight and become the main man. The numbers over that period speak for themselves. 74 appearances for the Royal Club, 23 clean sheets, and 91 goals conceded. Lunin proved a long time ago to everyone that he isn't just some random extra making up the numbers in training ground kickabouts. He is one of the most elite and reliable backup keepers on the entire planet. But playing the eternal insurance policy just in case the Belgian gets injured again has done his head in. The lad absolutely needs some trust. He needs an ambitious project where he'll be the undisputed, nailed-on starting player with actual permission to make a mistake. And that's exactly where some proper European heavyweights have appeared on the horizon. According to the Spanish outlet Fichajes, the Premier League is looking like the most realistic escape route for his career right now. And sitting right at the front of the queue, of course, are Manchester United. Old Trafford is in full-blown panic mode over their goalkeeping department once again. The long-term future of Altay Bayanda is shrouded in a thick fog, and Michael Carrick is left with a lonely Sene Lammens as his only option in the squad. The Mancunians absolutely, desperately need a keeper who already knows the insane demands of the European elite. whilst still having genuine room to grow. But pinching Lunin without a scrap isn't going to happen. Inter Milan have aggressively shoved their way into the race for his signature. The reigning Serie A champions have been licking their lips over the Ukrainian for a while now. They view him as the perfect long-term successor to Jan Sommer, who walked out the door as a free agent. Oh, an incredibly wealthy Newcastle are still lurking about somewhere nearby too. And what about Real Madrid themselves? Up in the plush offices of the Bernabeu, they are completely paralyzed. The board rate the player highly and are painfully aware that finding another number 2 this perfect will cost them a massive headache. A bloke like that on the market is a collector's item. On the flip side, holding a keeper hostage when there's gigantic demand for him is a doomed exercise. Los Blancos are going to have to make a genuinely tough call. Either cash in and bank a tidy profit on a highly sought-after asset, or try and feed Andriy another load of waffle about his exceptional importance to the club. Waiting for his moment in the sun just makes 0 sense anymore.